This buffalo stands alone against a dozen lions. The predators skillfully surround the hoofed animal, closing in. And finally, one lioness launches a decisive attack, grabbing the bull's back and hind legs. But the lions lack experience. They're still young. The bull takes advantage of this, fiercely spinning and not letting the other cats get close. One lioness can't endure and releases her grip. The bull is too formidable for her. In the end, the bull on its own managed to withstand an entire pack of predators. And today we will show you other cool cases where hoofed animals demonstrated their strength to enemies. A massive lion attacked a buffalo. The hoofed creature is about twice as massive as the predator. It's armed with horns and sharp hooves. But the lion is confident. Tactics, combat experience, and the power of the attacking predator are on its side. The opponent's maneuver. The lion tries to pounce on the buffalo, but it resists, then retreats. The predator should have left the herbivore alone, but the lion interprets the reluctance to continue the fight as weaknesses and lunges forward again. The bull repeatedly repels the enemy's attacks. Even when the lion finally jumps on its back, the bull manages to withstand. It rotates and throws the lion to the ground. But that's not all. The bull makes a sharp and powerful head movement, delivering a horn strike directly to the lion's jaw. Does it still have teeth after that? The lion panics and flees. Just a moment ago, it boldly pressed on the prey, and now it's running away from it. Here, the buffalo hit the lion in the face with its horns just seconds before the predator could damage the herbivore's cervical spine and bite the nape. The rivals fought, putting all their strength into each strike and grip. The bull was on the verge, but it seized the moment and threw the lion off with one strike. The buffalo's power was such that the predator completely detached from the ground and fell. It survived, but now the lion has only one option: to flee. Hyenas engaged in a battle with a huge buffalo right in the middle of the road. Car drivers are shocked. They were passing through a reserve but didn't expect such a close encounter with the world of wildlife. Initially, the huge buffalo easily drove away several pursuing hyenas. However, the entire pack came to their aid. 8 dangerous and large predators are against one massive buffalo. Hyenas had a dangerous advantage here, but they underestimated their opponent. The buffalo refuses to become just a meal for these arrogant carnivores. It gives them an impressive resistance and maneuvers skillfully. One hyena manages to grab the only vulnerable part of the buffalo's body, its tail. The strength of this predator's bite is often underestimated, but in doing so, people forget that hyenas are the most famous American scavengers. To extract useful elements from such food, they have developed truly powerful crushing jaws that break bones to access bone marrow. The bite of an adult hyena tears off the buffalo's tail at the very base. It's a more dangerous injury than it might seem at first, as it affects the spine and causes immense pain. Do you think the buffalo slowed down or weakened its resistance after this cunning strike? Of course not. It fought back, tossing the hyenas, spinning and escaping from every trap, luring the predators and counterattacking, ready to send the hyena flying or stomp it into the ground. Hyenas leaped directly onto the wound several times, hoping the pain would stun and weaken such a dangerous opponent. But the buffalo proved to be much more agile. It spun furiously, using its horns to disrupt the hyenas from securely gripping the wound. A numerous pack of hyenas attacked a wildebeest here. This is a quite large hoofed animal, but alone, it had no chance against predators with such numerical superiority. Other wildebeests would defend their comrade, as bravery isn't generically characteristic of the species. So the wildebeest made an unexpected move and ran to the African buffaloes. Against their backdrop, it looks so small, doesn't it? Indeed, the buffaloes are approximately 3 times larger. Moreover, they are known for their courage and aggressively drive hyenas away from their family. With such guardians, the wildebeest felt safe. But this was a mistake. The enraged bulls were against being used as a living shield. When they realized that the hyenas weren't backing off, it became evident that the hungry predators could attack one of them as easily as the antelope. Of course, buffaloes immediately expressed their displeasure with the uninvited guest. The wildebeest didn't know what it was getting itself into. Provoking the buffaloes and trying to save itself at their expense wasn't wise. Although the bulls drove away the hyenas, the hoofed animals then started to settle matters with the wildebeest. Initially, they just wanted to chase it away, but the more agile hoofed creature didn't retreat, fearing the nearby patrolling predators. Well, the wildebeest should have feared the bulls more. If hints aren't understood, these giants will explain and convey their point of view in more straightforward ways. The bull charges at the wildebeest and knocks it down. It spectacularly lifts the opponent into the air, throws it away like trash, and almost tramples it. The wildebeest simply collapsed on the ground in front of the hyenas. The predators understood the message. The bulls showed that the wildebeest wasn't one of them. After such an impressive flight, the wildebeest was both injured and battered. Now, escaping the pursuit would be even more challenging. If the wildebeest had run away from the hyenas as soon as the bulls drove them off, it might have survived. But the abuse of resistance turned out to be a fatal mistake for the bold herbivore. The wildebeest got up, but it was clearly a bit dazed. The bulls calmly left, leaving it to the hyenas for consumption. The predators surrounded the wildebeest and took advantage of the gift of the enormous horns. What's your take on such a move? Perhaps you think the huge herbivores should have protected the wildebeest from external enemies, risking their family members in a battle with unpredictable and cruel predators armed with powerful jaws. Or should they have immediately driven the wildebeest away, and not even attempted to help it by accepting it into their group? Maybe the bulls acted correctly, and the mistake was made by the wildebeest itself. Share your thoughts in the comments. We would love to know your opinion. Of course, the wildebeest also tried to resist the hyenas. It maneuvered, circled, and attempted to horn. The hyenas didn't immediately overpower such a tough opponent. They tried to avoid unnecessary injuries, so they were cautious, herding the wildebeest into a trap. The bulls watched the situation indifferently. The wildebeest missed its chance, and no one would ever support it again. Although it held on for some time, against such a numerical advantage of carnivores, this hoofed animal couldn't withstand. The circle tightened, and the wildebeest was overcome. In Africa, one of the few surviving white lions in the wild resides. Researchers named him Casper. He's not an albino, just a beautiful white lion. Well, beautiful for us, right? However, from a survival standpoint, his chances aren't that great. White lion cubs are occasionally born but rarely survive to adulthood. Unusual coloration hinders their ability to camouflage and hide from enemies, and then interferes with hunting. For a white lion to survive, grow into adulthood, and eventually establish itself in a pride, it must be especially strong. Like Casper. Only when a whole herd of buffaloes approached him and his lioness, he clearly overestimated himself. If Casper had run away immediately, he wouldn't have found himself in this difficult situation. There was a tree with a low, almost horizontally growing trunk behind him. Only that saved the white lion. The bulls were stepping on him like a living wave. They never knew about their advantage and slowly approached the old adversary. In the end, the bulls cornered Casper against the tree. There are many such cases. Here, the herd also trapped the lion. Note that in both cases, the predator was saved only by the shape of the tree. A heavy lion wouldn't be able to balance on a regular vertical trunk for long. Here, he's almost lying down, but very low. The bull's horns barely miss the opponent. In both episodes, the lion struggles to balance on the trunk. The bulls constantly threaten him and provoke mistakes with sharp movements. If Casper, or an ordinary lion in the second case, makes a sudden move, it will crash right under the buffalo's feet, which will trample or lift the dangerous opponent with its horns. Seeing an intimidated lion is unusual, isn't it? But dealing with the bulls was a mistake, and now the poor predator is paying for it. If the conflict between an elephant and a buffalo escalates into a fight, then the winner will be obvious. An elephant is more than 8 times bulkier and stronger than a buffalo, easily sweeping this obstacle aside. The elephant can use a ramming attack in battle, against which the buffalo has no chance. Moreover, the giant is armed with powerful and sharp tusks, the length of which reaches half the length of the opponent's body. The flexible trunk can also help in battle, as the elephant can grab and lift a buffalo whose weight exceeds a ton. However, if you think that elephants constantly beat up buffaloes, then you're mistaken. Usually, these species treat each other with pretty much respect. Here, a huge elephant approached a female buffalo with a calf too closely. The giant had no hostile intentions, but the mother started getting nervous. Her little one sensed this and immediately attacked the elephant. You've got to agree here, its desperate courage and pressure are admirable. It defends its mother, who can barely keep up with the calf to stop it. Such pressure not only impresses us, but also the elephant. The giant cautiously retreats to avoid accidentally harming the little one. The calf is 20 times smaller than the giant, but it successfully pushes away the one who dared to scare its mother. The calf doesn't realize that the elephant could simply step on it. Fortunately, the elephant is peaceful. Such noble behavior of the elephant and the courage of the young bull deserve your like, I would say, doesn't it? Elephants and buffaloes have something in common, both species of herbivores that don't eat meat. But at the same time, they are brave and aggressively defend their kin, especially from the same family group. Like here, lionesses attacked a herd of buffaloes, expecting the herbivores to flee. Quite often, bulls do indeed obey instincts and start running when a predator suddenly appears. But this is only the initial reaction based on the fact that the horned animal doesn't know how many predators actually surround it. In this case, fleeing would be indeed the best option, but this time the lionesses were approaching almost without hiding, so they lost the element of surprise. This was a mistake, because brave buffaloes don't intend to panic. They boldly resist enemies, covering each other and supporting leaders. Usually only a few of the largest and mighty buffaloes counterattack, but the other members of the herd carefully monitor the situation and protect the flanks. They are ready to propel a side attack at any moment. And if an enthusiastic and enraged bull gets too carried away with an offensive, it can return to its herd for cover at any moment. The lionesses regained composure after the first stunning counterattack by the buffalo. Predatory cats are ready to surround and pounce on it, but the hoofed animal realizes this in time and rejoins the herd. This behavior is quite similar to the defensive tactics of elephants. Perhaps it is precisely this similarity that leads to cases of extraordinary solidarity? It's hard to say, but elephants and buffaloes do indeed often support each other. Here, a lion pride managed to surround a separated elephant calf. The young one's weight is already approaching a ton, so it cannot be really easy prey. However, the elephant calf clearly lacks experience and combat skills. Through the efforts of experienced lionesses and mighty lions, the pride managed to overcome the herbivore that was bravely and desperately resisting. The predators have already brought down the elephant calf and are ready to finish their ordeal. The lions hold the victim, not allowing it to stand up. Doing this isn't really too difficult, as the elephant's limbs, designed to support the immense weight, are not particularly flexible and resemble columns. Even on the ground, the elephant calf resists, trying to strike each aggressor, protecting its throat by tilting its head. But the lions act very efficiently and cohesively. No matter how much time passes, maybe a minute or 5, but the lions will inevitably defeat the opponent, reach its neck, and either strangle the elephant calf or simply bite and scratch it until causing fatal injuries. This horrifying scene was witnessed by a herd of buffaloes. They understand that lions are not hunting one of them, but an elephant. Bulls shouldn't concern themselves with a representative of another species, especially since buffaloes and elephants sometimes engage in conflicts themselves. But for some reason, the brave hoofed animals hurry to help the elephant calf here. The buffaloes attacked the lions, who did not expect external interference. The charging attacks on the predators focused on their prey caught them off guard. Thanks to reflex speed and reaction, the lions managed to dodge the frontal assault at the last moment. However, they could no longer hold on to the elephant calf. The lions were not prepared to repel the sudden attack. Moreover, there were several buffaloes. In other words, the rescue operation was not the whim of a single-hoofed animal, but the desire of the entire group. They attacked the lions in a wedge formation, led by the most furious bull. The elephant calf was saved. Buffaloes not only protected it from the predator's attack, but also guarded the little one until it stood up, preventing a possible second attack by the predators. According to researchers, elephants have actually a phenomenal memory that they hardly forget anything. Perhaps they are really able to be willing to reciprocate to those who have helped them before? Otherwise, it's kind of difficult to explain this specific case. Lionesses pounced on a buffalo that resisted them powerfully. Grabbing the herbivore by the throat immediately wasn't possible, as the hoofed animal was ready to repel such an attack with powerful headbutts. Since approaching such a dangerous opponent from the front would be foolish, the lionesses took a longer route to victory. One of the lionesses leaped onto the back of the hoofed animal, digging her claws into its hide. However, without a stable foothold, it's challenging to unbalance such a massive beast. Meanwhile, other lionesses attacked the buffalo from the side. The bull spun, twirled, and repelled all attacks, demonstrating astonishing reflex speed. However, fighting lionesses, especially with one on its back, proved challenging for the agile buffalo. The lionesses riding the buffalo constantly tried to bring down the opponent, posing a threat to its spine. If her jaws reached the base of the buffalo's spine, they could paralyze it and take away its hind legs ability. Therefore, the buffalo fiercely circled, trying to both scatter the lionesses on the ground and shake off the lioness from its back. However, the panther weighs approximately 1/4 of the buffalo's mass. It's not really easy to maneuver such a burden. The buffalo fights heroically, but it will not last long. However, nearby, there was a huge and powerful elephant. It noticed the buffalo in danger in the adjacent thickets and headed over that way. The elephant single-mindedly ran to rescue the buffalo. Maybe they could be old friends? Perhaps it's gratitude for saving the elephant's calves. Or did the 5-ton giant just imagine itself as the local defender of herbivores? It is hard to say, but as soon as the enormous head with long tusks emerged from the bushes, the combativeness of the lionesses immediately waned. They didn't want to contend with both the buffalo and such a formidable giant. The lioness on the buffalo's back realized she would either jump off or be removed by the elephant's trunk. The clever hunter chose the first option, and the pack of predatory cats retreated. The lionesses simply didn't know what they were getting themselves into. It turned out that this buffalo was not only skilled, but also excelled in communication. This is not a unique case, though. Here, a lion and lioness together managed to bring down a buffalo to the ground. A bit more, and the predators would reach its throat. But suddenly, an elephant approaches. If it weren't on top of the hill, it could have trampled them. However, just the presence nearby proved sufficient. At the last moment before the lions could finish the prey, the elephant merely shifted towards the predators, and that alone was enough to drive them away. The buffalo immediately got back on its feet. It is undoubtedly grateful. The ability to make friends in the African savanna can save a life as effectively as one's strength and speed. Unfortunately here, the elephant was late. It appeared to save the buffalo too late. The lions had already strangled the hoofed animal, but the noble gesture of the giant is worth appreciating. Moreover, it fiercely descended upon the predators, almost trampling them. The enraged giant seems to avenge its best friend here. It raises a cloud of dust, and it appears to hit the body of the hoofed animal. But for the lions, it will be a lesson here. Attacking even a lone buffalo will now be frightening for them if their friends, the elephants, are nearby. The young lionesses understood that they were dealing with quite an old buffalo here. So the predatory cats decided to attack. They surrounded the hoofed animal. Indeed, its movements were constrained and not as fast as they used to be. However, the lionesses did not consider that the buffalo's horns had continued to grow and now reached gigantic proportions. Between the sharp tips, the head of a lioness together with her shoulders could fit. Moreover, the buffalo had not lost its strength and was ready to deliver crushing blows with its horns. The lioness had to make an effort to dodge dangerous blows and lunges from the opponent. The fight lasted long enough, and the cats were the first to exhaust their strength. Their movements were swift, but with each counterattack, the buffalo's horns came closer to the head of one or another lioness. They realized they had made a mistake in choosing their opponent here. The already aging buffalo effectively repelled all the attacks and managed to deter the audacious young cats with its horns. A whole pack of wolves surrounded just 2 bisons, but they put up an impressive resistance. The predators clearly chose the wrong victims here. The bison lifted a wolf on its horns with the same ease as you would lift a tennis ball off the ground. Bison horns are short, but thanks to their crushing force and the speed of a sharp strike, even this weapon is sufficient not only to lift a wolf off the ground, but also to send it into an acrobatic flight. The wolf does a somersault and falls in front of its astonished peers. They continue the attack since wolves are one of the most effective predators on the planet. They're hard to intimidate. Still, bisons only intensify their pressure and counterattack the enemies, covering each other. Before the colonization of North America, the wild bison numbered in the tens of millions. This was despite the presence of grizzlies, numerous wolves, and mountain lions on the continent already. The success of the species is linked to the incredible strength of these noble animals. Buffaloes not only defeated the lion, but also drove it up a tree. However, this wasn't enough for them. One of the bulls almost bit the lion's most valuable part. The cat dodged the last moment. The lion did not expect such a sneaky attack on its most precious asset. The predator definitely won't mess with such an enemy ever again. Which of today's cases where buffaloes resisted their enemies surprised you the most? Let us know in the comment section underneath this video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That way, you'll be the first to learn about the most incredible events in the lives of wild animals.